So Dragon Ball Super Broly, the movie, has officially come out in a ton of different places. It's not out everywhere as of the time of recording, but that being said, we are going to go ahead and list some of my most memorable moments from the film. Hope you guys enjoy, of course. Hit subscribe if you happen to be new for more content. Let me know as well in the comments down below what were some of your personal most memorable moments from the film if you went ahead and watched it, of course. Anyways, as you guys know, since I'm going to be talking about a lot of things, but just take note of the fact that there will be a ton of spoilers. The video is basically all spoilers, so come back to this. I'll see you later on when you've seen the film, but until then, we are going over spoilers. Anyways, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So first thing I want to mention is interactions between the characters. I've always loved interactions. Like, I love when people meet people for the first time in this anime. I just love that type of thing. It's super corny, but I don't know why, it just pops me. I love it. So some of the things that I want to talk about that were really, really cool to me was in the very beginning, we have Beerus there, and he's just like, wait, I'm not a babysitter, I'm a god of destruction, you know, stuff like that. Like, that was pretty funny to me because he's now doing that Piccolo role from Resurrection F, where Piccolo was the one that was babysitting Pan last time, and this time, you know, Bra needs to be babysat, or Bulla, whichever you prefer, and Beerus has to be the one to do it this time. So that's one of the things that I really, really enjoyed, and it was just in the first few minutes of the movie, whenever they get past the original part of the story. Speaking of which, the original part of the story, I really, really, really love this rendition of Bardock. A lot of people are obviously going to enjoy the older Bardock more, that's fair, but I really feel like this kind of fleshes out his character a little bit more. But as far as it went, I really did like the fact that it's like, yo, Goku's parents actually did care about him, and you know, stuff like that. That just, to me, it just felt really, really wholesome, and I really enjoyed it. It did feel like there was some more that's supposed to be in there because all of a sudden Bardock is in a position where he's battle damaged and stuff like that. So there was probably a brawl or something like that. There will probably be like an extended edition of this where we see some more. And of course, that'll probably just make me feel a little bit more about that pick as well. Anyways, moving on. I loved Broly in this movie. Like, for one, I have always been a fan of Broly. I didn't really like, whatever, you know, I didn't really like care like that, like a huge fanboy, anything like that. But I've always liked the character. I thought he was cool. Of course, that's how he's designed to be. But what I did like about this is that they take the opportunity to really try to, as I mentioned with Bardock, flesh out the character. You have Broly in a position where he has a backstory, for one, which is awesome. He's a, you know, he's a character that is pure as well, just like Goku. He isn't a character that wants to be doing what he's doing. He's forced to by his father, things of that nature. He had a friend that was named Ba, of course, and he wears his ear around his body just because he wants to remember that friendship that they had. He was just always in a position where he was just trying to do the right thing pretty much, but he was just kind of led astray by his father and things like that, which is really, really cool to me. And then, of course, whenever Sheila and Lemo meet him, you know, he is in a position where he's never seen this stuff. And to me, it feels like Sheila and Broly kind of have that Tarzan and Jane type of relationship where she's trying to domesticate him a little bit. Not really, not as to the same extent, but still, Broly's kind of like, what's this? I've never had this. And he's so awesome in this. I loved it. I loved it so much. Speaking of tough guys, we had tough guy Goku. He was like, yo, give me the Dragon Balls. That was like the most funny moment in the film. I'm going to mention that now. He's sitting there like, give me the Dragon Balls. And he's just snorting. He's like, no, he's dead serious. So to me, I felt like that was worth mentioning because it was hilarious, because that's a side of Goku that, you know, the comedic side, right? Goku and Broly, by the way, had some really, really cool just moments as well, talking in the middle of the fight where Goku's SSG, of course. I'm going to bounce around a lot in this. There's not any sequential order to this. But when they're fighting, you know, Goku's like, I can tell you're not a bad guy. You don't want to be doing this, right? It's just Broly is not able to control that latent ability that he has, right? So that's one of the things that I really did like as well. At first, when I saw it, you know, in the spoilers and early synopsis from the Japanese film and stuff like that, I was kind of skeptical, but I do like it, given now that I've seen how Broly really is as a character. It's something about reading it and just knowing about it versus just seeing it and experiencing it for yourself. And that also, to me, does open the possibility for them to come back in the future, transitioning into the end of this movie where Goku's like, yo, anytime you want to fight, you want to train, help you learn your powers, whatever the case is, I'll come and I'll be able to find you as long as you don't go too far with the instant transmission. I'll be able to find you. And he's like, yo, at the end, he's like, Sheila is like, what's your name? We don't even know your name. He's like, oh, I'm Goku. But Broly, you can call me Kakarot. I was like, oh my God, this guy, who does he think this is? That was one of the best one-liners in the whole film, if not the best individual line in the whole film. Because to me, That's signifying Goku kind of like coming down to his own, right? Where he's like, okay, I'm a Saiyan, and I'm allowing my Saiyan friends to call me by my Saiyan name, basically. So that's really cool to me. Moving on to another top thing for me was Sheila. Everything Sheila. Sheila is freaking big too. Anyways, and she's badass, man. Like, she's basically, her backstory was, if I recall correctly, she stole a spaceship or something akin to that from the Galactic Patrol. I could be misremembering, but it was something akin to that, just type of general backstory. And she's freaking cool, man. And then she meets, like I said, Broly. She has that Tarzan and Jane-esque relationship with him as well. She does not like how Broly is being mistreated. She actually winds up stealing the controller from Paragus as well, destroying it and everything like that, which actually, honestly, is a bit of a catalyst for Broly raging out, because Paragus wasn't able to rein Broly back in. But still, it's still pretty dope. And then, of course, she wishes for Broly to go back over to planet Vampa as well, saving him from basically dying. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Gogeta was going to kill Broly there with that Kamehameha at the end there. So ultimately, she saves him from dying as well, which, again, to me, just the relationship they have. And then, of course, at the end, her and Lemmo just leave the Frieza Force, of course, because of everything they did. Of course, being pretty much putting targets on their back. So they wind up staying with Broly and all of that stuff. She's going to take care of Broly from now on. And again, having the possibility to return in the future in a series or anything like that. This man put the hands on Goku. Yo, Goku got, I don't know if I have ever seen Goku get that bad of a whooping in that short of time. Like, he was getting destroyed. So, like, we've seen Goku take beatings. We've seen him take bad beatings, and he always has, and he always finds a way to come out of it, right? But in this movie, I mean, it was crazy. Goku was getting pummeled. Broly was at a position where he was just throwing him around like a rag doll. He even was like a freaking giant trying to stomp him out. Goku's over there rolling on the floor trying to avoid getting stomped out. Broly takes his face and just runs him through the mountain of ice, and just so many things like that. I was like, oh my god. Yo, Goku is taking the biggest ass whooping I have ever seen him take. So stuff like that to me was just crazy. It was wild. So that's one of the things that I really enjoyed, because it, of course, brings the character back down to earth as, you know, a character that we have experience with, but doesn't always wind up being victorious, right? Moving on to my next point, my next one, SSG Vegeta. This man, his transformation was so epic. It was really, really cool to see that. And of course, you knew he was going to get it. If you've kept up with the spoilers, if you play the mobile game, you know there's already an SSG Vegeta. You knew he was getting it, right? So that was epic, because that was the first time we've seen him get that transformation on screen. Of course, he got it in the manga a long time ago. Not a big deal, but this is the first time he's had it on screen. And I couldn't help but remember how it was seeing him get SSB, I believe, also for the first time back in Resurrection F. This was before Super was a thing and all of that stuff. And all we knew is that, you know, there was these new SS Blue transformations for the Resurrection F movie coming off of the heels of BOG and the SSG Goku form. And like stuff like that, like it was so loud in the theater. They were all cheering, applauding everything for the Vegeta transformation. So that was one of the most epic things in the entirety of the film. My final overall point is Gogeta. Everything Gogeta was epic. For one, I talked about interactions. He had some really cool interactions. First off, when he transformed, his interaction with Piccolo, Piccolo's like, okay, we don't need a name, just go fight. He's like, oh man, but entering with the name would be so badass. Like, it's so cool. And he was like, okay, well, Vegito was Potara, right? So I guess we'll call myself. And he listed off a few different names that didn't sound right, like Gogeta or something like that. I don't know. They just sounded bad. And he was like, oh, Gogeta, I got it. Yeah. And then he leaves. And he's like, okay. And then he starts telling everybody that he's Gogeta. He meets Frieza, and Frieza's like, who the heck are you? He's like, I'm Gogeta. Which, by the way, Frieza getting his butt kicked for an hour was hilarious. And it's even funnier when you realize that the Tournament of Power was, what, 45 minutes long? Frieza got his butt kicked for an hour. Okay. Anyways, Gogeta just shows up. He's telling everybody his name. He's got that interaction with Whis, and Whis is like, yeah. And he's like, hey, Whis, we got this. We'll take it from here. And he's fighting Broly, and just, of course, everything Gogeta, just in general, was dope. The whole animation, everything was nice. To me, I thought that was a really, really cool part. But the pacing kind of screwed up when Gogeta showed up, in my opinion, with the film. I wish we spent more time with him, but again, maybe in an extended cut, we will wind up seeing more time with him. And ultimately, he explains to Frieza all about the fusion and just in general fusion techniques like the dance or the Potara. He was like, yeah, you've been gone for a long time. While you were gone, we learned a new trick and we can merge bodies. And this to me, like seeing the look on Frieza's face is just like, oh, that's great. Because he's like, okay, I'll just basically never beat these guys. Because even if I can beat them individually, they'll just go ahead and merge and they're just going to be infinitely stronger. So there's that. And the whole Frieza dynamic with that was hilarious to me, especially at the end after the wish when Frieza tries to blow up Sheila and Lemmo trying to get away. Gogeta stops him. He's like, not today. Stop. You need to stop. So to me, like, that was epic. I really, really did enjoy Gogeta's character. But ultimately, I read for you guys my top 5 different scenarios that I enjoyed from the film. Again, remember to let me know yours down below. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll catch all of you guys